Hey everyone, just want to jump on real quick. I'm so excited this morning. I've got a client who's been struggling with their AP processing and actually having some kind of an approval process. Guess what they're setting up today? Veeam. They've got about 5 different companies. They're paying a lot of bills. They're a large, growing real estate company, and they just needed a solution. So I love the fact that I have found the applications that are efficient and effective and allow for my clients to be able to operate their businesses the best way so they can be as profitable as possible. So if you're trying to find an AP solution, you're trying to get yourselves and your clients set up on something that works wonderfully and it's free. Go check out Veeam. Everybody, welcome back to the Designated Motivator, the DM Disruption. We are here to just hopefully inspire you and give you some encouragement as you work through your day. Hopefully you're listening to this podcast while you're working, just chilling, putting on your little speaker and chilling. But Denise Grove is here with us today, and I know her through Profit First, which, by the way, is a book that will change your life, period. If you're in business for yourself, if you have not read the book, you have to read the book. And if you want to learn how to implement it properly and take advantage of all of the system that Mike Michalowicz put together, Denise is your girl. And I'll tell you, she is a designated motivator. She has the greatest attitude. What she has a passion for is I think we all have this passion in a way, but I think that Denise just takes it to a whole nother level. So Denise, welcome to the DM Disruption. I'm a big fan of you. You may be a big fan of me, but that doesn't really matter here because I am a fan of you. Your color on your shirt is gorgeous. You look beautiful today. You're killing it.
Thank you.
You're killing. You look great and you sound great. So introduce yourself to everybody. Tell us about Denise. Tell us, what is her world about? What are you doing?
Well, as I've always laughed about, I am a recovering CPA because I started, my career at the Big Four public accounting firms and moved into corporate, but quickly figured out I love helping people. And the bigger the
Sure.
organization, the further removed you are for being able to see immediately, especially your results. So I have morphed
Yeah.
into a money coach. And I especially work with small, privately held, family owned businesses to help them just do
Right.
better with their money because working with me, there are no stupid money questions. None. And so I
Never
come in
stupid.
and
The
help.
only stupid question is the ones they don't ask. But you come in and help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the best thing about Zoom and working with people in person too is you can see their face. So, you can see when they're thinking, what on earth is that woman talking about? So we can solve it, right? But I
Yeah. They can't hide it.
listened to Mike read Profit First on Audible in Atlanta traffic one day. And when he starts talking about it, because of course I immediately thought, that is not GAAP. That is not accrual accounting. What is this man talking
Nope.
about? And by the end of the second or third chapter, I was like, why didn't I think of that? Because I struggle with cash flow with my clients where they were waiting on a big deposit to be able to make
Mm-hmm.
payroll. And I, being
Sure.
empathetic, sweated and sweated, thinking, oh my gosh, where are we going to get the money for the paychecks? His
Yeah.
whole idea of segregating the money in bank accounts for its purposes solves all that
Mm-hmm.
angst.
It really does. It really does. I read the book, right when it first came out. And I'm like, this is a great idea. I'm going to do this. I'm really good. Okay, this year, I'm really going to do this. It's like this. Oh, no, this year for real. And then January of 2020, I said, this is my year. I'm doing it this year. And I implemented it for Powerful
Good.
Accounting. And I have to tell you, I don't worry about pay because people are always say to me, well, what about the percentages? Like, how do you start? I go, you do your best. You pull a P&L, you should be able to get some idea of percentages if you pull a P&L and you've got your percent of row and figuring out what you
Right.
think your payroll percentage is. And you know what, and I'm sure you come across this, you look at it with your client and they're like, yeah, you're actually at 47%, not 30 or whatever the percentage may be, right?
Exactly.
So tell me about that. Because you're forward facing these clients and you're looking at their money because cash is king. I had a former business partner that said to me, if you don't have cash, you're not in business, right?
Right.
And so tell me what those experiences are like because I know you have great stories.
Well, the first thing is the accountability coach. Like it's just like
Yeah.
if I really want to go to the gym, I get a personal trainer Because if I tell you
Right.
I'm going to see you someplace at 5:30 in the morning, when we have a commitment, I am there. And that is what a
Right.
profit first coach or any kind of money coach, life coach, whatever does, in my opinion, is it makes you have a commitment to another person. And so the first
Hmm.
thing is, showing up and
Yeah.
being willing to learn. Um, I just have everybody start with 1% into profit because the owner takes the profit. And usually I see people who are not taking profit distributions and the owner is not paying themselves. And those were the
Hmm.
first two things, as Mike talked about his process, that I said, oh, yes, I have seen this over and over again. Um, I look at the whole family or the whole person too. And so one of the
Hmm.
things I do is get them to say, what do you really need to be taken out of this business to make your family be cared for?
Hmm.
And that's an important component, especially in a smaller business. But we just start, even if it's just
Mm.
1%. And a lot of people haven't paid themselves a paycheck in years, especially like with these
Hmm.
closures and the pandemic, even more so. And so I make them pay
Right.
themselves something. And
Hmm.
that means that we look at the money flowing out to everybody else and say, okay, what are you not getting value out of? As I'm as guilty as everybody. Netflix,
Right.
8.99. Have I looked at Netflix in 2 months? Probably not, but they still get it out of my credit card charge, right? And on a bigger
Hmm.
scale, that's what Profit First helps you do in a business.
Absolutely. It's such a great comparison. It's so true. And you know, you what one of the things I think that motivates you because you are a people pleaser, you are always trying to encourage and bring people up is that when you can have that positive effect and you see it happening.
Yes,
It's not just a conversation you're having with them because that's the thing that makes me crazy. That's why I'm all about the motivation, but it's not just about being motivated, but do something about it, right? And so you are getting your clients to do something about their situation, and that's got to be when I'm sure you've looked people in the eye, and I would be super surprised if you told me no, that you had this profit first conversation with them and you implemented and you got it started. And then they start to say, oh, every quarter I can take that profit. And to look in their eyes and their face and their soul, because that's what you're doing, because
right.
it's about the people. You had to have gotten a tear or two from your clients. Tell
I
me.
have. I
Hmm.
have.
And
And
we didn't,
it's
by the
so,
way, we did not prep this. We
no,
didn't prep this.
no,
I'm saying this genuinely out of knowing you. So tell
yes.
me.
Well, I have, and the best one was ever. One of my clients, and when I say her books were a challenge, being
Mm.
very kind. It took us
Soft
a
and gentle.
year with a bookkeeper, the right bookkeeper in the on our team. We've got her
Yeah.
moved, got her books sorted out. We got her started on Profit First, and at the end of about almost a year, I looked at her one day and I said, "I am so delighted for you." And she went, "Denise is delighted. You just made my day."
There
But
you
it
go.
was
See?
her, I mean, it was because she had made so much progress in 12 months.
Oh, it's just beautiful. I mean, you know, the way I look at it too is like this conversation about the payroll and having the cash flow in your payroll. And like for accounting firms, for me, my labor's my big cost, right? Technology honestly
Exactly.
isn't bad. I tell people, so I've got the new book coming out, DM Disrupt. It's a designated motivator for accounting professionals. And it's about having the right technology in place and having,
Mhm.
your systems and things so you can get more work done and not be so administrative.
Right.
And I was talking with another practitioner, and she was like, Dawn, I need you to help me. I got to understand what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, I mean, it's costing me. I added on the last software I just added on was Core V, and it's a tax planning software. It's not cheap, but it's a great tax planning tool. And so that was $1,000 a month. Prior to that, my total technology per month for there's only four of us, $1,700 a month to run a whole accounting practice. And so I find that the cash flow, we're realizing where our real costs are. And then at the end of the day, like the tax account, that's like genius to me. I'm like, I put 15% away. It's way more than I need, but I know my taxes, my money that I owe for taxes is always there.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
Well,
like,
and Friday being the deadline if you're for
oh,
personal taxes, right? And
yes,
in a lot of small businesses, you and I know, are either partnerships or S corps. So the tax
hmm,
liability flows to the owner. It's personal
right,
taxes. I had a
yeah,
phone call Friday, and actually the owner said, we're on our way to the post office. My partner is taking both our returns and, sending them in, getting the green card back so the IRS can't say they didn't get it. And
yep,
and he said, we had too much money in our tax account. He said, I've been in business over 20 years and I have been scrambling today, usually, to get the money to try to pay
yeah.
the taxes. And he said, what a relief Profit First process is to me because we had plenty of money and we had a little left over. And he said, so I'm going to use that to go ahead and get my estimated taxes paid for 2021.
What more can you get out of, like, I mean, okay, so you escaped. You're an escapee from the CPA lands. So you don't have those on Friday, oh my goodness, days, right? And because I've implemented processes, I was on my boat on Friday. I did not prepare taxes.
Good
I
for
was
you.
done. I had it all done. And I find that, you know, the definition of insanity of doing things over and over again the same way is literally insanity. Like, who wants to live in that world? And like you said, I
Mm,
mean, having that tax money there, what a relief on his soul,
yes,
honestly, at the end of the day, right?
exactly.
And
Well, and that's a lot of it, having the money stable is what gives you that
mm,
peace of mind. And then
yeah,
you can actually
yeah,
focus in on
definitely.
your business, helping
You
your
know, and
clients.
yeah, and I mean, you again being an escapee, which is what I'm gonna call you, Denise Escapee Grove from now on.
I
You're
know.
the escapee.
I need some bars behind me,
You need
like
some
I've
bars. You're gonna
escaped
put
from the
you,
jail.
which I love because I talk about this almost every guest that we have on, because my whole thing is, listen, find what you love to do because you're going to do it for a long time. And yeah, you have that CPA experience. You've gone through that process, and you're like, now, instead of being that person who's maybe delivering the tax return to the client who owes the tax money, which is stressful for everybody, by the way.
Yes,
It's not just
yes,
you, the client. We are stressed out about it too. Sometimes I'm more stressed out about it than they are. But
yes,
instead of you delivering that tax return on Friday, you have a client now because you've decided to focus in an area that you're passionate about, you love, you're motivated to get up every day to see that client. You get the phone call of, I had a great day today. I paid my taxes and I still had some money left over.
right.
And you're getting, I would feel like that value that you're adding to them and what you're giving to them as their money coach is priceless for them. Of course, right?
Yes, absolutely. And one of the beauties of being understanding that tax background and having that auditing background and having worked in big corporate and understand a much bigger picture, it makes it easier for me to make it into baby steps. And no,
Absolutely.
priority A is this. Now we've got that under
Hmm.
control. Let's do B. And we don't have to worry about that yet. I know it'd be nice, but let's stay focused on this systematic plan. And if you
Yeah.
don't, you will get overwhelmed as an owner. Number
Because
one,
you only have so
money,
much time, right? But yeah.
the
Go ahead.
time, as well as the lack of expertise. So they look at it and go, I have no idea where to start. So we don't start.
Hmm.
That's human nature.
That's an interesting comment because I was thinking about kind of something similar to that last week. I was sitting there going, oh my goodness. So this client notified me on Tuesday. They had hired an R&D, research and development credit specialist, right? And I had actually had a conversation with this client with 1 month ago. Didn't go anywhere. Nothing ended up happening because that's not my specialty, right?
Right.
And so I get the email on Tuesday. Hey, we got to have the 2020 superseded return needs to be filed by Friday. And I'm like, okay, so first of all, I've never dealt with an R&D credit on a tax return. That I'm not a big four. I'm not doing multi-million dollar returns. I'm doing pretty basic returns over here. And I was like, oh my God. And immediately I could feel the anxiety in my body going like this. Am I going to be able to do it? Do I know enough? Well, this R&D company was awesome. They gave me the forms all filled out already, so I just had to kind of translate that into Lacert talk, right,
Yes.
to make sure that it all
Yes.
go through. But I'll tell you what, I probably spent 5 hours on something that should have taken me a half an hour because I just didn't know. But it does, it paralyzes you. If you're a business owner and you're like, I don't know how to do this, and I'm going to put that off because these things that I know how to do, I'm going to go do those things,
Right.
right?
Right.
So that's why you're critical, that accountability that you're giving them.
Well, and the baby steps, not to
Mm.
take off of other, personal financial, Dave Ramsey baby steps out of debt,
I
but
was going to ask
this
you about that. Yeah.
this is baby steps too.
Mm-hmm.
And saying, we're going to do this, this is what we're going to do, and this will result in you being here this
Right.
next month. And
Mm-hmm.
so breaking it down into manageable, well, it's just like running a marathon. I'm not going to go run the Savannah Marathon or Boston Marathon or anything. Just get up in the morning and go do it. You're going to train all year
Yeah.
long,
Mm-hmm.
and you're probably going to try to run a half marathon.
Right.
And then it is a process, and running your money is the same process.
Yeah.
People just don't think of it in that terms.
Right. No, that's so true. And I have, interestingly enough, whenever I have a client on the phone and we're talking about cash flow concerns, they're just, I just don't seem to ever have enough money, blah, blah, blah. And it's like people don't really think about, if you're in business and you need a new computer, let's, for instance, your computer died or whatever, and you have to get a new computer.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to come up with the money for that, right? Typically, what do? They go into debt. They
Yeah.
buy an asset. They've got debt. And I always tell my clients, not always, because always is a big word, but I very frequently tell them, always is kind of, but I frequently tell them, listen, I know it's year end. I know we're doing some tax planning. And their first thing is, I'll go buy a vehicle or I'll go buy a piece of equipment. I'll go buy this. And I'm like, okay, number one, do you need it? Like, do you really need it? Like, is that going to make you
Right.
money? Or are you spending money? Like, you go buy a truck, let's say it's a $60,000 truck. Now you've got a note on that thing for 6
Yeah.
years and you want a section 179 at this year? Are you crazy? Now you're
Right.
paying, you got dead money out there, dead money. And they just don't think of that. And, that's the bonus you can give as being a CPA and having that tax knowledge to be able to help coach them through those kind of conversations, right?
Oh, exactly. And a lot of times I interpret in English what the tax return is doing, because let's face it, looking at all those form numbers and those little grids is, even
Mm-hmm.
though I'm comfortable doing it, it isn't my forte. And so I'm looking, going, okay, where'd that number come from? Where'd that number? And a lot of people aren't detailed. And so,
Mm-hmm.
they take one look at that and go, oh, so, being able to
Right.
say this is the upside. And the other advantage
Mm-hmm.
too is because I am knowledgeable of it, I know exactly when to say, we need to get some tax planning going right now on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain things
Exactly.
that it doesn't make a hill of beans on, but some
Mm-hmm.
transactions or deals or however you want to put it, you want to get the tax planning piece in before you put
Right.
ink on the paper, not after.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you being able to have those eyes on top of the profit first, the entire program that you're able to
Right.
do, the combination's lethal, to be honest with you. Like and that's Mike's goal, eradicating small business debt. Like that's what he
Right.
wants to do. And you're out there doing that. And I think that's phenomenal.
Oh
So I
yeah,
want to,
and I love
yeah,
it. I love
yeah.
doing it.
Mike is a Looney Tune. Love that guy. He's like a brother. Like, I just love that guy. Because he's as crazy as I am. He's like the other half of me. He's the man side. But so I want you to tell me, who was somebody that motivated you in your life, that kind of, like, maybe you were in a kind of a funk, or you were in a scenario, or you just had this person that was always there to pick you up when you were down. Because listen, as a designated motivator, I get down. Let's be honest. Like, we're not. I
We
mean,
do.
we have struggles too, people. I know that's hard to believe. We just seem to have figured out how to overcome them, but we dip. We do dip. And so
Right.
tell me about that story for Denise.
Well, there's several situations like that. And I've got to first, of course, go back to my parents. They had, of course,
Yeah.
very different styles. My mother's motivating style was much more gentle, and my dad's basically said, "You will do it and get over it." And so, that combination of parenting styles was definitely a
Right.
motivator because I never
Yeah.
wanted to disappoint them. And so,
Yeah.
my motivation to help, and improve was good. And of course,
Yeah.
now my parents are both have passed on, so my
Mm.
husband is a big motivator because he will give me his perspective. He's not an accountant, of course, and so
Mm-hmm.
he gives me a whole different perspective on ideas that I bounce by him. But one of my
Yep.
favorite stories is in college. I had offers from back then, all the big firms, the big eight firms, all basically the same offer. And so
Okay.
I couldn't figure out which one to go with. And one of my
Yep.
accounting professors, who was also a mentor to me, he said, "Okay, just stop thinking about it tonight. Think about it,
Mm.
go and say, okay, that's it. I'm not thinking about this anymore. And then tomorrow morning, when you wake up, the first firm on the top of your brain is the offer you accept." It worked. The rest
That's
of my
awesome.
life, when I've been in one of those, because some things it's really clear the cons outweigh the pros, but some things are
Yep.
real even. And so
Yep.
that's still to this day, that's my technique. I think about it, I go to bed, and I have the answer in the morning.
I love that. And what great advice from your professors. I've done some teaching at the local university, and I've always tried to steer them in the right direction and give them kind of an open mind to different things that they could do. I have one young man applied to be in the IRS for criminal investigation because I talked a lot about the forensic work that I do and things like that. And he was so excited about it, and being able to give them that guidance, like I mean, who knows what? I mean, you never hindsight's 2020, which I still think is a weird saying, but um, not really sure. So, but just thinking back, like what your life would have looked like so differently if
It
he
could
hadn't given that
have.
to you. Mm.
It really could have because, going with KPMG, I started in the Dallas office after interning in Birmingham, but I was selected to rotate through national in the Department of Professional Practice. So here I was, not even quite 25 years old, writing firm policy on how we were going to audit through the computer so nobody could make stuff up on us anymore. I
Oh
mean,
my
it's just phenomenal what my career path led to, just that one good night's sleep.
right.
So next time I'm down in Auburn, I'll have to look Wayne up and let him know that he changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, isn't that a
And
cool
those are
feeling?
that's unbelievable. I mean, what better compliment can you get from a former student or from in my case a lot of times athletes, a student athlete that's like,
Right.
you're the reason why I came here, or you're the reason why this and that. And that's you there's no money. Speaking about money, there's no money that you could be paid to get that kind of a feeling. Do you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
I'm sure but you're Denise, you're doing that for people now. So you're what my one of my old coaches always said, pass it on. The whole goal is if you learn something and you gain and benefit from something, then you pass it on to the next person, and then they'll pass it on to the next person. And that's how we all get better. And that's
True.
what you're doing. That's what you're doing. So are there any last thoughts you want to leave with people? Is there, a message you want to leave with the listeners today?
I just think that every day you need to get up, and it's a brand new opportunity to get out there and do good and be helpful
Mm,
and kind to people. Um,
yes.
just leave things better than you found them, even if it's just a little bit at a time. And
Yeah.
and of course, I'm not much for looking back. So
Yeah.
I've got a long rash of mistakes, but I just don't dwell on them. I just say, okay, we're
And you
going to try
can't.
again.
Yep. I always say life is like an etch a sketch. Every night you shake that thing clean, you get up the next
Exactly.
morning, you're all ready to write a new story. And that's
Exactly.
all you can do. That's all you can do. And lifting other people up and doing those kind of things, which you're natural at doing that. You have the sweetest Southern voice in the whole wide world.
Thank you.
And we love a good. I was almost going to say, hey, she said money, because you said something different. You said, I forget. Why don't you say money? How do you say
Money.
money?
Money.
Money.
Money. And you
It's
should have
so
heard my
great.
mama say it, because if you
Oh,
think I have an accent, mama had you.
I love it. I love it. Denise,
Yes.
I thank you so much for even just taking your time out of your day to talk to the listeners today and just to spend some time with me, which I was really excited about because I do remember you from Profit First and going down
Yes.
to the conference, Profit Con, and I'm like, wow, this is going to be cool because anytime we could talk about Mike Michalowicz and at least pick on him a little bit because he deserves
Right.
that,
Right.
is a good day for me. So thank you for your time. You do look beautiful. I love that blue color on you. Stick with that. It looks great. And thank you for all you're doing for small business out there. And we're just going to keep on shouting to the rooftops. That's all we can do, right?
Yeah, and thank you for the opportunity, because when I saw you had your new book out and the podcast, and you were looking for people to be guests, I said, I am going to
Absolutely.
support Dawn and show her I am a designated motivator.
You are, Denise, and it really does. Like, I have chills. It means the world to me that that you would want to support me in this, and I just want to help people just like you, and you want to help people too, and we're all in this together. And it's just like you said, every day, just try to be nicer. Just even one smile at the Dunkin' Donuts girl or wherever you go, and just be like, hey, I hope you have a great day. Like really, and actually mean it. Don't be fake.
Exactly.
We want it to be genuine. So, Denise, thank you again so much. And thank you to listeners who are listening to the DM Disruption today with Dawn Brolin. Excited to just continue to help motivate, but I want you to take some action. If you have not read Profit First, you need to read that book by Mike Michalowicz. And you can call Denise Grove if you want a coach. She will help you straighten out your money. She's a money girl, and she will help straighten you out. So thanks again, Denise, and we'll talk to you soon. You're awesome.
Very good. Thank you, Dawn.
All right, sweetie pie. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.